Immortals. Mid lane Wind Ranger has been a thing, core Wind Ranger. Probably support is a little bit more common. Get a Wind Ranger with the Drow Ranger, which isn't a super high possibility in this game for Immortals, but we've seen that as well from the NA region. Get a lot of options when you pick up this hero. Plus, I mean, you're going up against Bloodseeker, so it's like, if you get Ruptured, you just Wind Run and TP out. And I guess there's a cask that you can use to interrupt that as Leviathan, but you know what? You have yourself some defensive options. Really nice defensive options from this hero. Leviathan, pick up the Bloodseeker, pick up the Witch Doctor. Pretty safe opening from them, nothing too crazy. I would say Bloodseeker is perhaps a little bit of flavor of the month as well. He's been getting a lot of love lately. I think he's a little bit overrated, but you know, I'm getting to see him in game a couple more times before I get a real good read on how good this hero actually is. Seems like, well, maybe it's just like I'm watching a lot of Bloodseekers picked up on losing teams that would otherwise also lose, regardless of what they picked up. Maybe there's that. I don't know. The hero definitely has his spot, though. Not sure if that spot is first pick. Mirana, Skywrath Mage, all being kicked out. Lifestealer as well. This is definitely turning out to be an interesting qualifier, that's for sure. Dude, if EG don't make top 5, Reddit will lose their shit. Everyone in NA will lose their shit. I mean, let's be honest. Guys, like, if you're from NA, you are, to some extent, an EG fan. Like, you kind of have to be. Like, that's your pride right there. That's your pride of an NA person. And I don't think I'm exaggerating. Like, you gotta be a little bit of a fan of them. Like, they may not be your favorite team. You may be pulling for, like, VP or Liquid or whatever. Like, I understand that, but you also have to be pulling for EG at some extent. Hate to see the kind of thing happen. Leviathan, whoa. Dude, we got a Tusk for Leviathan, which is, you know, nothing too crazy or anything like that. But we have ourselves an Oracle from Immortals, which is something that's a little bit more crazy. Now, usually, I usually say that Oracle is a hero that requires some need to be picked up. Currently, not really huge. I mean, if you do get the False Promise and the Monkey King gets his Jingu stacks, then you can make a lot of health back as the Monkey King just by yourself. Outside of that, there's nothing really substantial to purge off. I guess Bloodseeker maybe with the Blood Rage, that's kind of nice. But like magic resistance wise from the Edict, there's barely any from Leviathan. You could disarm the Bloodseeker, which is kind of sweet as well, but seems like these are really limited corner cases. And Leviathan mathematically make it out of phase 1. If they win this game, they need very specific results from some other teams, but yeah, I think they could still make it. They'll have to make it into tiebreakers. They have to win this. For Leviathan to go the next phase, they have to win this, and then other teams need to lose, so that Leviathan can tie with those losing teams, and then battle for a 5th place slot. I think that's how it works. But I haven't looked over it yet, guys, extensively. Don't take my word for it. We still have a whole nother day of qualifiers before we start eliminating people, so it's better to just enjoy the games, trust me. But yeah, Oracle is definitely the type of hero that partners up with some more powerful heroes, some more macro-oriented heroes, let's say. We'll see if they want to go for that. Nature's Prophet will be the pick first for Leviathan. And that's, yeah, I mean, getting those treants to control the lane, certainly very powerful. Oracle can't really do much about that, and it's a real big problem. Hunting down Nature's Prophet, though, with the Monkey King with the Wind Ranger, a split push style for Leviathan may run into a couple of issues here, especially up against this Storm Spirit. Okay, Nature's Prophet is not in a happy spot anymore. And yeah, even Bloodseeker up against Storm Spirit is not all that fun. This is going to make the Oracle slightly more powerful just because he has someone who's really worth protecting. It's possible that Storm Spirit, you just get hit with a silence or a stun, you just get immediately burst before you can get any mana out. But when you have an Oracle on your side, that's probably not going to be happening. So we have Immortals really, really harshly countering that Nature's Prophet pick for Leviathan. And it seems like for right now, Leviathan mostly just picking that hero up for a little bit of control. Push-wise, I'm not really convinced that it's going to be doing anything hugely significant because it's so easy to hunt him down. I think I saw one Nature's Prophet recently, and I think that was Koikva from EU. He did really well, but they ended up losing that game because of some questionable decision-making. If you can get a safe lane as Nature's Prophet, you can do quite a bit aggressively with your team. Like for right now, I'm looking at Leviathan, I'm thinking, okay, they have a Bloodseeker and Nature's Prophet. These cores are okay in the late stages, but they really are powerful once they pick up their first 1 or 2 items. That's the timing they want to hit. Get those 2 items, then try to just battle around the map. And split push. Probably more battling than split pushing, actually. If they're able to hit that, I could see them really getting in under Immortals. If they're able to lock down the Storm Spirit early on, keep him from getting nuts out of control, then a Nature's Prophet Bloodseeker pressure, without having to worry about a Storm Spirit, can definitely win them a very quick game. But that will come down to the matchup, and it doesn't seem like they have a matchup locked in there. I mean, Tusk Bloodseeker, pretty good up against Storm Spirit, but if you're going to kill off a Storm Spirit as Bloodseeker, you got to get into melee range. Tusk, obviously, the same thing, and Remnants are pretty good up against a couple of melee heroes. I've heard that, at least. I cannot confirm myself. I've heard it's pretty good. So this Oracle's kind of just floating out there. I mean, again, he has like a couple heroes who are a little bit more worth protecting, but I guess some of the more premium supports are out of the pool, so it's time to go for something else if now. I mean, look at Leviathan's first phase bans. All some pretty hard supports. Witch Doctor, effective ban there, as well as the Warlock, so not really a huge amount of remaining super viable supports. I would say Disruptor probably would have been okay. There's nothing wrong with Oracle. It certainly do a lot, especially if you're with the Wind Ranger. Being able to land a Shackle and then have all the time in the world to Purifying Flames and then purge off the heal, it does go a long way. Purifying Flames is a ridiculously powerful nuke. Mortals have quite a bit of time here. Looking at one more core, probably for that off lane. Who's it gonna be though? Saw them run a pretty split dual lane. This is gonna be Velo's hero, and Beastmaster is actually still in. Interesting. They could just run that back. Make Sprout pretty darn useless for the Nature's Prophet, but in this game, Leviathan have enough physical damage to make this Beastmaster's life a little more difficult than last. Broodmother is still in as well. I believe that is something that Immortals play, and Leviathan don't really have a huge answer to that. Will really put the pressure to their lanes. Of course, there's a counter pick on the Leviathan side as well, so it's not going to be completely safe, but you have a lot of options here as the Immortal squad. It's just going to be the boring old Beastmaster. Can't say I blame them. And again, it's a really good hero at hunting down Nature's Prophet. A point click, BKB piercing disable up against Bloodseeker is absolutely premium. Yeah, it's a solid pick, but it's a little bit boring. Now, what do Leviathan want? For their mid lane / safe lane, more than likely mid.
5 seconds
Yeah, I mean, Storm Spirit is slightly abusable. If they go for a DK, they can really hit that timing hard that I mentioned earlier. May have, I mean, there's a lot of just right click on Immortals as their primary damage output, so having the armor on the DK is not bad. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Because again, you're looking to make this 2-item timing hit really hard. You got to get a hero that can either make use of the space that they get from that timing or add it onto the timing. Like a Pugna, we'll have a little bit of a difficult time, but that type of hero, a Pugna, Morphling, okay, goes in that second category. Not really a hero that's going to be participating directly. He's just going to be getting that space, farming, while your teammates are fighting it up. ESJ is going to take control of the Morphling. Immortals, they do have quite a few stuns. So this Morphling is going to be, yes, very powerful if he gets off to a decent start, but it's also not something that they are completely unable to handle. Not going all in either, Leviathan, so now trying to angle a little bit more towards the late game, get that split push going, and Morphling isn't really your traditional split pusher any longer, because he just doesn't have that same ultimate ability. The way he contributes to a split push is just by being an assassin. Like, if he runs into you, boom, you're dead. And then that lets you push, so that it's not quite split push, but it's it kind of contributes in a similar style to what split pushers typically want to do. We'll see if this Morphling can get off the ground. There is some fear here that if you're Leviathan, you just get run over early on. Beastmaster we saw really powerful if he's able to get a clean lane. Monkey King, Wind Ranger we saw in the last game just dumpster the opposition. And Leviathan, their early game, it's a little bit flimsy. There are situations where this early game for Leviathan can do really well. Rotations from a Nature's Prophet, actually loaded out with a Blightstone. I almost said Orb of Corruption because I always freaking say that. That's what it's called in Warcraft, and it's still in my head after all these freaking years. But you know, get a little bit of early damage going, get this Bloodseeker speedy, get him a couple kills. It's definitely a possibility. Monkey King run, blows the smoke and is gonna scuttle away. It's a crab, right? Yeah, it's a horse shoe crab. That's genius. Other than that, like Leviathan, they don't really have the most in the way of nukes. They don't really have any nukes actually, so it's all about right clicks, it's all about efficient damage trades for them. Whereas for Immortals, well, they have a little bit more than that. I mean, they still have these efficient damage trades, but they actually have a couple of nukes to back it up. And like some really aggressive acceleration in those damage trades thanks to Jingu Mastery. Also noting perhaps a little bit of a swap up here. The Storm Spirit going to go towards the top lane. Matchup going to be up against the Nature's Prophet, which is not going to be like super fun for the Storm Spirit or anything. He typically just has not much fun against a good amount of heroes. But this is going to let the Monkey King go towards the mid lane. And no matter who's going on into that mid lane up against MP should have a pretty nice time. I think it's actually going to be BSJ. BSJ is going bottom. Jenkins is... What is happening? Where is everyone going? You know, we should just see where they land before actually saying anything about it. I expect it to be this Bloodseeker. But it looks like he doesn't quite want to go. No, they're swapping. It's a mid lane Nature's Prophet up against MP. This is actually not bad for Immortals either. I mean, MP is still going to be functional in this lane. It's not the end of the world. Never mind, it's Roya coming in. Okay, I don't know what's happening anymore. We'll just wait. We'll just wait for those lanes to settle down. We'll look at this lane first. This is a much more difficult lane for this Velo Febi combo to abuse than the last game. That being said, BSJ Morphling, though he does have a lot of armor, is still not really the best hero at trading hits simply because he has no health. Lokarn has already picked up the Voodoo Restoration, and Velo's starting to chew through his mana pool awfully quickly, but Febi just getting these free right-click harassment shots off with, of course, the Wind Run for safety is really forcing this Radiant dual lane to kind of be on the defensive. They shouldn't be able to keep BSJ locked out of this lane entirely, like the Spectre that we saw in not game one, the last game. But still, I mean, look how much damage Febi is doing just by himself. Just being a person with a bow and arrow. Like, that's all Wind Ranger is right now. She's just a chick with a bow and arrow, and that's all you need. Are we gonna settle these lanes yet? Roya is now over in mid, alongside that Bloodseeker, and it will be the Nature's Prophet versus that MP matchup. The Monkey King really wants to be up against the Bloodseeker. That's like the bare minimum requirements that Leviathan want. Because otherwise, Jingu Mastery is pretty bad. Roya, though, is kind of dumpstering Sammy Boy. Again, you got to get a little bit close, and you need those heals if you're going to sustain the lane as Bloodseeker, which means you take that extra damage. You get too close, you get hit with that Remnant, and that hurts a lot when you're getting boosted from that Blood Rage. Whatever it's called. Damage amped by the Blood Rage, if we call it that. Kind of similar start to last game for Immortals, though. I mean, the fact that they have an identical offlane would contribute to the similar start, kind of. We can already see they are starting to pull ahead just slightly in CS. Again, the lockdown of these lanes isn't quite as significant as in last game, and now Sammy Boy not going to chase down Roya. I think he probably could have gotten him. He's really quick compared to the Storm Spirit, and the Storm Spirit just was like 2 shots away from death with no stick charges. I think he could have done it, and over in the bottom lane instead, Jenkins trying to teleport away. The damage just enough as they land the big old Jingu Bong. That'll kill off Jenkins. Over in the bottom lane, dude, these axes, look at that damage! Look at it go, and now BSJ is going to waveform through onto Febi. Lokarn is going to have to deal with Velo. One more set of axes will make an even trade. Nushim coming in along with Jenkins, though, should put Velo in a body bag on top of it. And it looks like that'll be a favorable exchange for Leviathan. They do rotate in. Oh, that power shot didn't connect. Is 180 damage. That wouldn't have been enough anyway, even if it did. Oh, Roy actually ends up killing Sammy Boy. What the hell happened? I looked away for 1 second. Sammy Boy must have taken tower shots. That had to have happened. Because he must have been so quick because of everyone battling on this bottom lane. He tried to go for the Storm Spear at the same time. That surely is what happened, right? I don't know. Either way, it's still going to be Leviathan taking slightly the short end of the stick. I mean, I guess a little more than slightly. The bottom lane loss of mid lane loss of Sammy Boy. God damn it! I look away from Jenkins for 1 second, he dies. Mid lane loss of Sammy Boy certainly is going to be costed there, specifically because Roya got that kill by himself. Is struggling to CS a little bit here. Oh, Blood Right, gonna land. Not terribly huge deal though. Rebby gonna run out of the Wind Run. Now the waveform from BSJ, couple more right clicks, stick charges, Wind Ranger gonna go down. Just enough. All calculated here from Leviathan, taking off that Wind Ranger. And this is gonna be a much different Wind Ranger game than we saw from the last game of Immortals. Everybody's gotta be a little bit careful here, although Storm Spirit has no mana. Stick charges will not get him enough either, but Sammy Boy's taking an absolute beating here. Damn, he's got to be super careful. He's trying to bait in Roya. Another Blood Right will be off the mark, but he's getting a little bit of regen here. Roya's going to chug down a bottle, so there's his regen. And just like that, everyone's at full HP. Again, as the Storm Spirit, you have to be a little bit more careful because you never know when Jenkins is going to be coming in. Or a Tusk. And you probably won't have a similar rotation from your own allies. You're on an island. The Storm Spirit is probably going to be rewarded by playing a little more defensively, but that's also why we see kind of like a 20 CS advantage for Sammy Boy here. 10 in the denies and CS. Plus the fact that whenever he drops that circle, like, you kind of have to back up as the Storm Spirit, otherwise you put yourself at a lot of risk. Dude, I'm loving this 4-position Wind Ranger, or this, let's just call it a support Wind Ranger. So cost effective at harassment, especially when you have a Beastmaster adding that physical damage. Again, this lane is a lot more durable to that. BSJ sitting at 13 armor. Not much health granted, but still 13 armor up against all that physical right click does go a long way. Right now, holding steady. Roya is going to get immediately ruptured. TP's out. Should be fine. Easy. The biggest counter to that Bloodseeker, this little piece of paper. Been that way forever, actually. I think Bloodseeker was not significantly changed. I mean, Thirst was reworked, Blood Right was reworked, but you know, Rupture has mostly been the same. You move, you take damage. That's just what Bloodseeker do. Teleport out and you're fine every time. You can tell though they were waiting for that. Like, as soon as he hits level 6, immediately pops that Rupture. Jenkins TP's in before the Rupture is even cast. They were prepped and ready. But, you know, so was Roya. So. No harm, no foul. Rupture being down isn't really a huge deal because it's up again. Not much mana is required for Bloodseeker's other abilities, so he's usually got more than enough to cast Ruptures. Hey, look. It's up again.